All right, everyone, we are live. Excited to be on the You vs. You show. Today is Wednesday, I believe. Yes. And, after about 40 years of being quarantined, I do lose track of the day and the time, but I'm staying busy. Hopefully you, whoever's watching this live or on the replay, that you're staying busy as well. This is the You vs. You show. Just like in my book, You vs. You, the 12 ways to kick your own ass and win. If you can see that, because I got some lights on me. This is a book and this is a show that really helps you understand that whatever's going on around you, you are stronger on the inside. And we want to help inspire you, whoever's watching this, to pull whatever's on the inside, that power, that strength, no matter what's going on outside of you, to really, step into your full power. And today we have somebody that I'm interviewing that I'm excited about. Melissa Busker, and she is just an incredible client of mine in our Inside Out program. But Melissa, a lot like me, loves sports. She is from the Chicago area, so she's a big Chicago Bulls fan, Michael Jordan fan. We definitely, both of us are around a similar age, so grew up in the same era in the 90s. But what I really want to have her on the call here is because I think a lot of people right now are looking for something else. You have to. If you look at what's going on in our news, they're saying that 20% of the workforce is going to be laid off. Every time I go to my app, the news app, which I don't regularly do, I do at least once a day. It's just all negative news. And you might be one right now that maybe lost their job, maybe furloughed. And of course, it's hard for me to say I'm sorry because I lost my job many, many years ago. And I understand it's in the beginning, it's kind of a shock and you're just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But you're about to hear from two people that have been fired from their job. And for me, I've been fired from my job back in 2004, September 6, 2004. And it was literally the last job I've ever had. And it was one of the greatest things that has ever happened to me. And I know that's a tough pill to swallow, but that's why I wanted to have Melissa on today, because maybe you just been let go. Maybe you're struggling financially. Maybe you have no idea what's going on in your life during this COVID-19. But you know what? I think a lot of us, if we have the right perspective, are going to look back and say, wow, I'm so glad I did, instead of, oh, wait, I wish I had. And what I want to do is get perspective today for all of you that might be struggling. So I want to bring Melissa on, and she has a cool story. The thing about her is, just like me, I was an everyday person. I wasn't a celebrity superstar. Melissa's not a superstar. She doesn't come from Olympic athlete or anything like that. She's just a working mom, middle class, living in middle of the country like I am in Illinois. But you know what? She is doing something that is at the Olympic level, and that's choosing to grow. And I think no matter where you come from, whatever perspective that you have, if we all choose to grow from this and from what is happening on the inside of us out, all of our outside circumstances are going to really be that small compared to maybe this big if we change our perspective. And that really is how you redefine your battle and start to repeat wise choices. So Melissa, thanks so much for joining us today. Just share a little bit about yourself so we get some perspective of your background and really who you are. And then I have a lot of really interesting questions for you.
All right, great. First off, thank you. I'm honored to be here, and thanks for having me on the show. I'm a Midwest girl, born and raised in Northern Illinois. I've been married to my husband, Chris, for almost 15 years this year, and we have a little guy who is 8. So I am currently e-schooling, which is fun times. So anyway, I spent a lot of my job career in some different industries. And I spent a lot of time, almost 13 years in corporate America in the financial services industry. And that's an ever-changing industry, like many industries out there. And think you have job security, and all of a sudden kind of get that call that shocks you and says, hey, I'm sorry, but you don't have a job.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate to survive many different corporate restructures. Mm-hmm. And it was my time. Yeah. So, while it was devastating news at the time, you take that news and you do something with it. So you have to process it, of course, but.
Right. And you're at that age where, like me, cusp of 40, and I'm not going to give your age, but, let's just say you're around the 40 years of age. I mean, that is a tough pill to swallow, I think, for anyone when you said you have obviously one child. I mean, I have three. A lot of people watching this might be around their 40s, even 50s, and it could be even more devastating the older that you get. Retirements are going away. But we saw this happen in 2008. I mean, it's not like none of us have lived, back then where, it was just crazy, $7 trillion gone in a day. The whole stock market crashed. This is a little different because this is a silent enemy, but you didn't get fired because of COVID. You weren't let go. You got let go way before this. So you obviously mentally, talk to me a little bit about the struggle mentally that might be relatable even today that people are going through, kind of the real talk, if you will. Because I think a lot of people appreciate directness and just real talk instead of a fluffy, oh, everything's going to be okay. You know how people say, I'll pray for you. God will get you through it. Not that it's not true, but it's just like at that time, whatever you're going through, relationship issue, getting let go at your job, it's like, shut up. Like, are you serious right now? So you're in our prayers and thoughts, right? So tell me a little bit about the mental challenge that you had, after this all happened last year.
So it was the end of last year. It isn't COVID related. Again, it's shocking news to process. And definitely when it's unexpected, it's hard. I think you have to go through the feelings. You have to go through what you have to go through to realize what has happened.
Right.
And it is a battle. Like, you go through, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? You think you're fine. Every emotion possible goes through your head. What's next? What do you want to do? It's tough,
right.
To be completely honest. And it took a while. Like, I just took time to process everything. But also knew that deep down, I wanted to do something more,
right.
outside of corporate America. So the end of the day, I've taken it as a blessing and decided to move forward, put myself first, and get on a path to what's next.
Absolutely. So anytime we go through disappointment, that really is what the battle is. So in my book, I highlighted the 12 battles: you versus your finances, you versus your relationships. So right now, this is a you versus your finance kind of battle. And I think whether you're a woman or whether a man, I think men do worry about it more than women naturally as far as money goes. Not to say that women aren't driven by money at all. That's not true. But I think men, worry more about money. What maybe it's more of an identity too for maybe you too. So was it just, oh no, not that you didn't have a savings or anything, but it was just more like, oh no, like where's the next paycheck coming? Or could you talk a little bit about your identity? Was maybe some of your identity was lost? Like, what do I do now? There was like that lack of clarity. Was that what other things that you were going through in that respect?
Yeah, I think you just get into that mode of working every day, doing the motions every day. You're a mom, you're a wife, you're a working woman. You can pay the bills, and you've always heard, get that savings account for the rainy day, which most people don't have. So it's even tougher in these times today, where there's more and more people out there, suffering, losing their job, that don't have a way to pay their bills. So me being the female, I am the money chick. So it definitely is tough for me to deal with the loss of income. Fortunately enough, corporate America is nice enough, and I'm super grateful for my time there, that they were able to help me out and provide resources for me to try to figure out my next steps. Of course, those are resources for the next JOB or whatever you want to do. But yeah, financially, it's tough. If you're not prepared for something like that, you just kind of lose, what's next? What's my responsibility? I do kind of lose your identity because you're not working anymore. That's what you're used to for so long, that it's an adjustment for sure.
So then 2020 comes on, and we're kind of in the first quarter of 2020, and we started to talk, you and I. And I think what's so impressive to me is, of course, you and anyone that really chooses to grow. And through my own leadership experience from my early 20s to now, one of the greatest gifts as human beings is we have the choice. We either choose to either grow in life or we can literally choose to decline. So it's pretty simple. If you don't choose to grow, then you've chose by default to decline. And it's more of a death. It might not be a death physically, but it's a death mentally. And when people are choosing to sit on their, couches and watch Netflix reruns and Tiger King and all this stuff that doesn't really matter at all for anything, just entertainment wise, other than they're not looking at the future. So for you, tell me a little bit about your journey of being in the Inside Out program. And I think, my first question is, how did you really fight that nervousness to just bite the bullet and say, I want to coach. I want to be vulnerable. I want to open up. I need help. I need to figure this out, which obviously takes courage. So how were you able to finally have that courage to do it?
Yeah, that's a great question. After losing my job, I did try to find some positivity through podcasts and it's always been a thing to try to be positive and grow and so forth. But again, it's the point of, if you learn, but you don't do anything with what you're learning and reading and what have you, you're still stuck or you're still not getting anywhere. Right. So, the new year rolls around. I'm trying to figure out what's my next step, getting my resume together, getting ready to apply for jobs, interviewing, things like that. Again, deep down, I knew that there was something more for me, and that message popped up from you, and it just hit me at the right time. And here I am, unemployed without income coming in, but decided it was the time to make that investment in me, to hire somebody, to keep me accountable, to push me, to help me pull out those strengths and things that I have to do more with my life.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna kind of change the question on you a little bit, and you probably have never been asked this question, but let me word it well. So, what does it feel like for someone like me? And I'm not trying to at all say anything about myself, but I want to use myself as an example. If I see you differently than you see yourself, and I see you as badass, incredible, dominant, courageous, can literally coach other people once you go through that process. But maybe you don't see yourself like that yet. How is it when someone kind of is grabbing you and trying to pull you up that hill, knowing that up there is a whole different life? How does that feel to kind of be in that trust of I'll believe what you say. But really having someone really truly believe in you and that your potential is there, and then you starting to fulfill your untapped potential.
Whew, wow. Yeah, it is interesting. Obviously, I wouldn't, sign up or hire a coach if I didn't want that. Right. It's tough. It's not easy. But my self-confidence isn't always there. So until I can see that potential for myself, it helps to have somebody else to see it in me and help develop me to just make myself a better person. And get coached and get pushed and get out of that comfort zone that nobody wants to, get out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, and I think that's everyone's issue. I think I've seen it so many times, thousands of times, where people. I've never really met anyone that didn't want financial freedom. I never met anyone that didn't want to support their family and didn't want to add value to others and didn't want to help other people. But it comes down to, all right, let's go. And you're like, well, next week, I'll be ready next week. So when you have somebody that's saying, let's go, it's almost like jumping out of a plane. We just kind of push you out with a parachute and, you better land, but you always have someone on top of you that will protect you so that you will land safely. But even though we might have a safe net, we still have that fear of actually jumping out of the plane. So the next question I want to share with you is, how does it feel right now to be on this interview? How does it feel that, the past couple months that you have been stepping out of your comfort zone? Have you felt a little bit like, really, this is all I've been scared of this whole time? This isn't that big a deal. What's your perspective?
Yeah, no, a little bit. Absolutely. The nerves are there. They're still there a little bit, hey, yeah. But like you said, if you're not growing, you're declining, you're dying. Yep. It's taking these steps that get you uncomfortable and that make you grow, make you better, make you learn. But yeah, it's nerve-wracking, no doubt. But like I've learned through this process that, if you're not fearful or you're not scared, then, that's a problem. So we should be worried. We should be scared in a good way to, get better.
Absolutely. Well, talk to me in a sports background. Have you ever played sports before?
Yes, I have.
Cool. So can you kind of relate coaching to back in the day, like sports? Because you got to understand, like even professional athletes are going to be nervous. It's Game 7, Chicago against the Portland Trail Blazers in 1992 or Utah Jazz. And there's 6.6 seconds left, 1998. Jordan hits the ball, from Karl Malone, takes it up in Utah, the famous shot. I mean, we're all nervous. I was 17 years old. You're around that same age. I mean, you're just nervous watching it. I mean, I think we get nervous even watching performers and athletes and people that are in awe of us. But you never really understand, well, maybe they're nervous too. So nervousness is a good thing. Like that means you really care. When you're not nervous, that's kind of cocky and arrogant. You're like, yeah, whatever. I'm not nervous. But you are. So that's a good thing. So how do we get someone they might be nervous, of course, and they might be in their head. But we all believe that everyone has the ingredients inside of them to be great, but it definitely takes someone else to pull that out of them. Mm-hmm. So what would you say to somebody that's watching this on the replay or live, and they're just sitting there, they're just like you 3 months ago. They maybe didn't get an inbox from me necessarily, but they're watching this right now, and this could be their calling. This could be their message to rise up. On a serious note, yes, we will be going through one of the greatest depressions in American history. That is definitely going to happen. COVID is kind of a part of it. And then you got the financial sector. My best advice for anyone that's watching this is you got to own your own business. You got to do e-commerce. You got to follow your dreams. That's going to take a lot of courage. It's going to take a lot of fear. I go through it too. I'm nervous starting a whole different, business. So we're starting in the middle of COVID. So how does it feel to be in that? And are you more excited to get up? Are you less excited to get up now? What's your everyday kind of attitude towards life now, as opposed to maybe 3 months ago?
Sure. So yeah, 3 months ago, I wasn't sure. I was still kind of in that maybe woe is me step, trying to figure it out. But now that I know that there's opportunities, that you just change your mindset, that you want more and make a decision. If you find yourself in that unemployed state right now, like go through those feelings. You're able to have those, but don't stay long, especially in these times, because not only are we going to be in a recession, people are losing their jobs. Like you don't know that your job's there tomorrow, especially in these times. So again, go through the feelings but then dig deep, start thinking about it. What are your dreams? Like now is the time to think about what makes you happy, what you want to do with your life, and do it. Like take some action and do it, because now is as good as time as ever. Like don't sit back and watch Netflix. Don't watch the news. Don't absorb negative information. That's what I've gotten by jumping in with this group is just a group of positive people that have a vision for their future, that are going somewhere, and we're all supporting each other. So from a coaching perspective, consider it. Like there's plenty of them out there. And if you're trying to make your dreams a reality, it's hard to do it alone. So definitely having the support and the coaching and a group effort certainly is helpful.
So tell me about, I think a lot of people think having a coach is for the rich and the famous. It's like having a personal chef is only for the billionaires. Having a personal trainer, is for the rich, right? Having a personal, and not life coach, because I don't really, that's a whole different topic, but like having a leadership coach, and even, a practitioner that you're assigned with Emmanuel, a body code practitioner that's helping you, with emotional energy and baggage and stuff, is pretty awesome. But how does it feel mentally knowing that, okay, I got my practitioner, I got my leadership coach, and I also have my inside out family. I have my mastermind, creating things in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, how has that been psychologically, knowing that you have so much support, so much people that have each other's back, and you're also still learning everybody, and you're kind of new to the group? I mean, think about where you're going to be a year from now. How has that been psychologically when you're like, I don't know if but I got the group for me. I'm committed because I know I have the support to actually move forward.
Yeah, for sure. It's been an adjustment. It's a new way of things. As far as coaching goes, yeah, I mean, until you actually look into it and figure out what you want in a coach, like you don't know what it costs. You don't know what you're doing if you haven't done your research. And I was one that didn't really know, like I didn't understand fully what it meant to have a coach and what was all involved. So just getting on the phone with you at a, no obligation, call to figure out, what's involved, and then getting to know that we're working the subconscious side as well as the conscious side is just a whole new thing for me, to not even know anything about emotion code and body code that we don't even have time to get into, but releasing that emotional baggage and whatever that is that's holding us back, to have that part of it, as well as hey, here's your dreams and goals and your visions, like now let's go after them. Yeah. So it's worth it. I mean, you have to think about investing in yourself, not as much as the price tag. I mean, again, do your research, figure it out. But for me, it was almost just a no-brainer decision. You learn what's in it for you, and know that there's opportunities and a support system there that's like worth every penny right there, just in my opinion.
Yeah, that's amazing points. And just for everyone watching, let me kind of put this in perspective, to kind of help you guys out. There's really 3 ways that you spend money. Let's say A, and nothing's wrong with any of these. A, you can buy a dress, you can buy a Rolex, you can buy a car. Nothing wrong with any of that. B, you can do like a Robert Kiyosaki thing. You can buy real estate, cash flow quadrant, which is awesome, right? The challenge though with putting your money into those liabilities and even assets is you don't really change as a person. So what Melissa's saying is so profound, because when you look in the mirror, my question to everyone that's watching is, what do you see? Do you see the unlimited potential? Do you see that movie script that you're dying to write that's going to win an Academy Award? Do you see the physical side of what you can put in your body, that you can actually be in the best shape of your life, for the rest of your life? Do you see you getting that dream job? Do you see yourself starting that dream business? Because just like a real estate property, just like being a landlord, which is just a piece of property, what if you really dig down deep and invest it in yourself? Because you are better than all of that combined, because you have this, right? A brain. And I always tell my clients, like, and this is a powerful statement, if you could take everything away from me, like money and even my wife and family, not that I want it to be a horrible thing, obviously, but I'm just saying, like, I would recover. I wouldn't mentally check out because of all of the training that I have up here. It's almost like you're a Marine. It's like you can never take the Marine away from the Marine. He had that experience. She had that experience. No matter what trials and tribulations they go through, they'll always be a Marine. So, if once a Division I athlete, or once an athlete in the end, or whatever, or even a high school athlete, it's kind of hard to take that out of you, your competitiveness and your drive. So in closing, before we obviously, how can people follow you, Melissa? How has that helped you, that kind of drive, going back to like your high school days, your athletic days? Has that kind of gotten stronger and stronger, that burning desire to be like, hey, you know what? I'm back. I'm gonna rock this better than I've ever rocked. The next 10 years are going to be way better than the last 10 years. I'm going to go for it. How has that been for you, making that decision?
Yeah, this changes everything. I would still be in that, what am I going to do forever, the rest of my life, mindset, versus this, hey, we're growing, we're doing things, we got a vision, we're going after it. Like, that's exciting stuff. And yeah, that competitiveness just never goes away. Like, it's always in me. It always will be, and it's awesome. Like, I encourage my son, through the competitive side as well. And it's wonderful. So, yeah, it certainly comes into this and just gives me more reason to keep pushing forward and go after my dreams.
That's awesome. No, I really appreciate it. So I have a couple last things to say, but hey, before I do that, tell everyone where they can follow you. I think you're on Instagram. Obviously, they can see your name on Facebook. Where can people follow you?
Yeah, so my Facebook profile is under Melissa Busker. Myers is my maiden name. That'll pop up under my search as well. Instagram, it is C as in cat, M as in Mary, B as in boy, USK, CM Busk on Instagram.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I also know you're into health and wellness, and you definitely have the entrepreneur mindset. What I love about what I do for a living is basically taking men and women like yourself, and just kind of like, getting them started in a program. And I've always loved the makeover shows, not that you are obviously would be in the Biggest Loser show, but I love that show. I love the trainers there and how they take people that are overweight and they just change their life. But even though their presence is better, but they're also mentally better. And then also like doing like stylish shows where someone is not really dressed very nice. And then all of a sudden, boom, they look amazing because they changed their style. So what I love what we do so much is literally taking someone like yourself and any client that we have, helping them discover who they really are, which takes a little while. Even if you're 40, 50, even 60 or higher, or even younger, we don't really know who we really are. We don't really know what we're capable of unless we have an aha moment. And you can't get a breakthrough without discovering who you really are. So now that you're discovering who you are, you're going to have all these breakthroughs, and then you're fully transforming into a leader, from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And for me, that's like the greatest thing I can ever do with my life, is to all go through that myself and then help others do the same thing. So I really just want to recognize you publicly for taking a stand, making a decision, saying, you know what, I definitely want to transform my life. I need help. I want to be humble. I want to be coachable. I have the capacity to learn. But I know a year from now, like, you're going to look back at COVID, you're going to look back at the loss of a job, you're going to look back and say, man, I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad that I did these things, because now I'm really set up for the rest of my life, as opposed to, what the hell, 2020, what the hell happened? Oh my God, I wasn't prepared. So I appreciate you. Any last thing you want to share, words of wisdom, any advice, or any inspirational thing you want to share to the audience today?
Just every day is different. Wake up every day. You have a choice. You have a new opportunity to, choose to do better, choose to grow, choose to be positive and not be negative, in a negative world that we're in right now. Surround yourself with positivity, find your tribe, find some people that are positive to lift up your spirits. And, the world is your oyster, right? Like, it's what you make of it. And, our circumstances don't have to define us, and we use them as learning experiences and push forward. So it just makes us better, stronger people in the end. So stay positive.
Cool. Well, hey, Melissa, proud of you. So glad that you are on the show today. We're going to go ahead and put that on the Instagram as well, and we'll definitely give you the link as well. But everyone also that's watching, thanks so much for your time. Every day we want to try to bring you as much value as you can during these times. But you have to understand, like, sometimes you just have to be grateful for these times. Just like Melissa said, this is a time. If there's what better time than to follow your dreams than right now? Some of you, your back's against the wall. Good. Pressure is good. If you watch the docuseries with Michael Jordan, he could not get past the Pistons, but what did he do? He hired Tim Grover, who I actually know personally. He's an amazing guy in Chicago. He hired Tim Grover. He hired another coach, a trainer. He got buff. He was hitting the gym. And then also he got Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen and all his teammates and stuff. They finally got past that. So you might feel beat down by life, like it's the Detroit Pistons in 1990, 89. Look, I love basketball and analogies, but maybe you're just getting beat down. But Melissa's telling you, what better time to get strong right now instead of waiting? Because the people that get strong now are the people that are going to win. There's going to be more millionaires created now than ever before. There's going to be more people that are going to be more wealthy and rich and beyond, but there's going to be a lot of people that are going to lose. And there are going to be a lot of people that complain and, oh, I can't afford this, and, oh, I don't have the money, and, oh, I can't create anything out of this. I'm telling you, we can create more out of this and come together as human beings than ever before. Collaborate. Be creative, come together as human beings. So I appreciate Melissa's story. I appreciate you coming on, and thank you so much for your time. And thanks so much for watching, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.